Harris, you're watching Bosun Down Bushcraft, and today we are back in the woods again. Yeah, welcome back to the woods. After injuries and surgeries and all of that sort of thing that's gone on, I am out of the garage and back in the woods. And big shout out to my friend who printed this Bosun Down Bushcraft t-shirt. Excellent, I love it. There's the Freya and the old combat shovel. Freya today has had a bit of abuse on account of the wood being not wanting to split. I've had to beat her through with another log and she's taken a little scuff, bless her, poor thing. Oh well, quick tickle with a knife and some of that lovely birch oil we made will soon sort that out. So today what we're doing is something that I've seen a great many times done, but never actually built. It's going to be a bushcraft chair, of all things. How fun. As you can tell, I've already lit a fire, and that's the reason is I'm going to have myself a little bit of a barbecue, some dinner while I'm out and about in the woods, and well, I want somewhere to sit down. So what we're going to need to build this is 6 good stout sticks, you know, about wrist to forearm thickness, depending on how big your forearms are, obviously. If you're built like Arnie, you don't need them that thick, or if you're built like a garden rake, you'll probably want them a bit thicker. So somewhere around wrist thickness, and ideally green wood, living wood. I mean, you can use dead wood if it's recently dead, but if it's dry as a bone and going to snap on you, probably not the best thing to be making a chair out of. You want at least 6 pieces of them. 5 to 6 foot long should be more than enough to do the job. Sticks, clean up all the little boughs and branches off them, and the stuff I don't really want. If you've never used one of these crazy implements I'm holding at the moment, a bill hook or a brush hook as they're called depending on what part of the country you're in, I can highly recommend them. Big curvy blade, great for carving off all your sticks at the side. Really work really well as an axe, and you've got the flat blade at the back that is an axe basically. Slight word of caution with them, hatchets themselves can be pretty dangerous. These things though are a little more unruly still. A bit of practice, bit of skill, and never take your concentration off when you're using particularly these sorts of things. Safety wise, it's not helpful to have the twin blades, so if you're not used to using axes and cutting tools and things, I'm not recommending you go off out and buy yourself one of these. Probably better for people with a little more experience. I don't suppose you can even see much at the moment, as my special skill of attracting the smoke of the fire's coming nicely into play. Right then, so got me 6 sticks all prepared, and make the choices now. So which ones I'm going to start with? I'll have that for the back leg, and then I'm going to have that, I think it's a seat arm, and these 2 big boys as my front chair legs. Magic. What I'm going to do is tie these 3 together rather loosely, because this bit's got to move. I'll show you that in a minute, but this is what I'm going to use to tie them with. Now this stuff's called tarred bank line, and it's a very strong line. I think it's something like, is it 350 pound brake force or something like that. You can feel it's actually got a nice little stretch to it that allows you to get things really super tight, and it's soaked in tar. Or pitch, if you want to call it, so it doesn't rot for a very long time. It also makes it slightly sticky, so it sticks to itself when you put pressure on it. Very good grippy stuff. What I'm going to do is just rather loosely tie these 3 together, because I can tighten these up later on when it's actually stood up, but for the moment I actually want a little bit of flexibility in this top piece, so I'm not going to go too insane about it with the old tightness. basic overhands to hold it upright. So now what I'm going to do is stand it up and open it up into that A-frame. Right, so now I've got it stood up a little better, I'm going to lash it much tighter and stronger. Now it's stood up with this much cheaper cord, which is basically just flax rope, basically the kind of stuff you use to tie up parcels or you use in the garden, but it's a heck of a lot cheaper than the bank line, so for this top bit it'll do the job. So you can see there, I'm kind of building a bit of a a bit of a king size edition here. It's not a little one. It's going to be more like a woodland throne, I think. But that's cool. I don't mind that. Now I'm going to need to take another stick, and I'm going to have to pop it somewhere around where I want the seat height to be. So I think this is where I do a weird little. Can't really see me there. Ta-da! That's where I do a weird little. About there, I think. So let's do. Blade come out. What are we reckoning? Yep. Something what like level. Lovely. Now I'm just going to cut a little divot into the wood for this stick to sit in before I lash it. And those little divots will give it a lot more strength when it's lashed in, as opposed to just tying it to the front of it, because that's where all your weight really is going to go, is press down into that stick there. So now I need to tie me cross beam into that, and these ones really do want to be good and tight and strong, yeah, because all of the weight is going to be going through there. So these ones are going to have to be lashed on really nice and solidly. If you start when you're lashing things with a loop that you can put over the thing, come down here, you can put over the thing that you're going to lash, like that, and then you've got that tail there, and that you can tie to at the end. So when you've finished, you've got it tied on, that's where I can finish my knot, is by tying it to that little bit there. So square lashing is literally, you're just going around. Really need the reel for this. Going around behind it like that, around it that way, and back around it that way. Yeah, so that's square lashing. You're literally just making like a square pattern around it. It also looks a lot neater than just going mad with it and lashing the devil out of it. And like I say, with this bank line being ever so slightly self-sticky, once you've made a knot with it, it does not come undone. It does not come undone. Not intentional. Ha! Not intentional. I can't not do it. Ha ha! Oh, you've got to have fun. A few more around, because like I say, I don't want to be just make myself a coffee, sit on this and go straight down to the floor. That's not what we want. Well, I'm sure you guys would love to see that, but that's not what we want. That's it, nice and tight. And again, when you've square lashed something like that, what you can do as well to make sure that it's as tight as you can realistically get it is then go around those square lash parts. Avoid that little stick that's poking out. Really really pinch that in like that, and I'll show you a close up in a minute. But that, watch out for these little snags, that is about as tight, realistically, as you're going to get a square lash. And I've finished just right next to where my string is, ready to tie it. Just going to keep that nice and tight. That's it. I'm just going to pop some overhands in that. This tarred bank line is great because when you're trying to tie a rope tight and you're just using simple knots like overhand knots, because overhand knots are great, there's nothing wrong with them. Most people say, well, you wouldn't use overhand knots in climbing. No, you wouldn't, and the reason is not what you'd think. They're perfectly safe. A couple of overhand knots won't slip on you, but you try and get a couple of overhands out of a climbing rope or something like that. So usually when you're tying those simple knots in something like cord and stuff, keeping it tight whilst you put the second knot in, it doesn't work, they just slip loose. Whereas this tarred line, it sticks to itself so it stays tight. It's like having a friend when you're tying a bow, just put a finger in the middle of it, stop it coming apart as you put the loops in it. But because it's tarred, it sort of does that itself. Right, let's get this. So you can see there the square lashed job. Now it all secures itself on both sides. Nice and neat, not like that scruffety mess up there, but like I say, that doesn't really matter too much. So I've actually just decided that, looking at the progress with the fire, it's time to start the old dinner cooking. So as I'm sure you've seen when I did the trout video, my favourite way to cook in the woods is to just jam a stick through it and stick it next to a fire. And to be fair, if you can't cook it on a stick next to a fire, is it even bushcraft? It just reminds me of a camp years and years and years ago, when a friend of mine turned up, and for some reason, for his dining experience, he brought himself a bag of tangerines, and we were all sat there with beef steaks and great big joints of meat roasting next to the fire, and he brought himself tangerines. I don't know what that was all about. Maybe he figured there was no cooking, but when you are making a cooking stick, make sure that you clean the bark off the bit you're going to jab through your food, because obviously any bacteria or critters and things like that will be in that bark. There we go. Already dripping some chicken juice. Yet another reason to bring the good old scrotty towel. That one's a little too over the top. Shorten its stick. Magic. Right then, that's the dinner cooking. Let's get on with the seating arrangement. So we don't need this much stick hanging out. Okie dokie then. So what we're going to do now is just line up the sticks with that and the back stick to show you how the actual seat is going to be. So I've got these good long strong sticks that are going to be there, and they are literally going to be the actual seat area of it. So I'd say that's more than enough poking out there. If Or ideally, longer is always going to be better than shorter, on account of if it's too long, you can always cut a bit back off it, but you can't put a bit back on it, can you? So we'll err with that. That's all right. That should be absolutely golden. So now I'm going to lash these two, which are kind of my main supports, to the back leg here. And this is where your angle's important. You want them sort of sat at the right sort of angle that you want them for the front. So you've got to pay attention to what your front end's doing when you set what height you're going to lash them to the back leg here. Otherwise you might end up with your seat sloping down or sloping up. That's about level, I think. Yeah. He says with a grin. Is that one better? Oh, underneath. I think if I do that, so you guys can't see what's actually occurring at the front here. I think that there is possibly what's going to be pretty much bang on, or as they say, good enough. This is a tricky lash. Get some proper pressure in that. I already feel like getting a lot tighter. That should be enough. Again, just a couple of overhands. You see how, like, just the first overhand there, and it'll just stick. Oh, I love this tarred line. Lovely. Majestic. There we are, GoPro. Now we're just gonna square lash these front ones to this pole. You don't have to go mad with this because the square lash on this, all you're doing is just stopping them sliding around. Not that that one wants to slide around, it's got a bit of a, where I've chopped a knot that was in it that seems to be anchoring it pretty nice. Like I say, it doesn't have to have too many lashes in this bit, you're just literally stopping it from sliding around on its own. Yeah, that lumpy bit's a bit of a nuisance. Let's just clean that off a bit. refine a few bits. Right, now I'm definitely going to need some form of back here. It's quite wide. If I don't put some form of back on it, then really what's going to happen is I'm going to fall through it. So I'm going to spare you the boredom of watching that, because obviously all I'm going to do is lash a load of wood to it. So I'll come back to you when that's done. There we are, see? All the back lashed on, just enough to stop me falling through it. All trimmed down a bit, made it a little bit more neat. Let's have a go with that. Oh, that's the stuff. How strong it is. Actually, I wouldn't mind it just a little more lent back. I might just run a little bit off that back leg to lean the whole thing back just a touch. But that is actually more than strong enough, more than comfy enough, and I've got space to rest stuff. But in the meantime, whilst the barbecuey stuff is cooking, it wouldn't be much of a lunch break now, would it, without a jolly good old brew. So let's get boiling some water. Oh, that's coming along lovely. A little bit of charcoal on it for good measure. Hot. So, in my haste to get to the woods today, it seems the one thing that I forgot to pack was my actual coffee cup. So I've had to bushcraft one out the bottom of my water bottle that I brought with. Oh well, it'll be alright. Now the skill with this part is actually getting it in your cup without burning yourself. Again, we have the assistance of the old towel for that. There we go. Brought a teaspoon, could have used a stick. Brought a teaspoon, didn't bring a cup. I'm pretty sure these chickens are ready. Oh, that's relaxing. What a gentlemanly way to enjoy your lunch in the woods. Just need some widobo, which I also forgot to bring. I'm very forgetful today. Quite likes, Jeff. Very good. As I say at the end of all videos, I'm like, I wish I was staying over, but I'm not. I'm just here to do this today. But I could quite happily stay here and enjoy my chair. And you see, the best thing about cooking with sticks, there's no washing up. Not bad. Oh. Let's have a look at one of them pork chops. Oh yeah. See, as long as you don't like put your stick too close to the fire, it's actually really difficult to overcook it or burn it cooking it this way. And you can leave it sort of a bit of a distance away and let it take as long as you like. Oh, really wish I'd remembered that widobo. Well guys, that's lunch done, and that's pretty much all from Bosun Dan today. Smoke just absolutely covers the camera lens. That's pretty much all from me today. So thank you very much for watching, and please like, share, subscribe if you're not already. It helps us all out when people subscribe, and obviously sharing and views and all that, it helps us do what we do. So please, by all means, unless you think it's a load of crap, in which case then don't bother. But ooh, that meat was gorgeous. But as always folks, get yourselves out there, get bushcrafting and have fun. Have a really good time crafting in the bush. And I don't know if you can even see me. Hello, it's very smoky now. Stop it. And I shall chill on this woodland chair that's turned out to be more of a woodland throne by the size of it. If you build one, you don't have to go this extreme. You don't have to go quite this large. I seem to have gone for the luxury side of it, and I quite like it. I think I might have these as garden furniture from now on, you know. Not bother buying garden furniture, but just make some of these. Anyway guys, thanks for watching. So get out, get bushcrafting, and Bosun Dan out.